first minute of this video pissed me off so much. Like, as a person who lives in California, this is so stupid. Like, I've never seen a video so ironic, so factually incorrect, so the opposite of reality than this video that Ben Shapiro just put out. Going after Democrats for being constitutionally and morally questionable. It's like, what are you talking about? And he gets so much stuff wrong, but just listen to this.
Well, it's time to talk about why Gavin Newsom's plan to redistrict California is both morally and legally wrong. So Gavin Newsom wants to redistrict. The reason he wants to redistrict is because Texas, their state legislature, wants to redistrict as well. Gavin Newsom, however, faces some constitutional obstacles that Texas does not have. For example, the California state constitution mandates that there be a redistricting that happens via independent state commission once every 10 years with the census. So that was last done in 2020. You may have noticed it is not 2030. It is in fact 2025.
All right, what is also in the California Constitution is the fact that they can amend the Constitution with a simple majority in a ballot measure, right? And that's what Gavin Newsom's going to do. So why are you complaining about this constitutionally? Like, Texas, your state, Texas is doing a middle of the decade redistricting at the direction of the president, right? It's like, what? For no reason. It's like, why are you complaining about California? He clearly said, if Texas didn't do this, then we won't do it either. So why are you going after someone on these like moral grounds? And there's nothing legal here. That's the problem.
So you're not supposed to be doing things like redistricting between the censuses. Not only that, what Gavin Newsom has now proposed is that instead of an independent state body doing the redistricting, instead of that, he's going to put forward a referendum on a specific redistricting plan on November 4th. And the people of California essentially have to make a change to the state constitution and override it just for now. And then the idea will be that in 2030, they'll go back to the independent state districting plan that goes through an independent council. Now, what's weird about that, there are a bunch of things that are weird about this. One, the Constitution of the United States typically allows state legislatures to redraw their congressional districts. It's only California and a few other states that have decided to have some sort of independent commission do that work.
All right, so they have this independent commission, and you're somehow critiquing them that they're not like doing overly partisan gerrymandering. Like, what's your critique here? Like, you just explained the whole thing for no reason. You said there's a bunch of things wrong with it, and the first example of something wrong with it that you come up with is that there's an independent commission, and that should be the law of the land. Frankly, there's Democrats and Republicans in equal number on that commission, right? Like, I don't understand.
Well, if the independent commission can just be overruled by the state legislature at any time, what is the point of the independent commission? The bigger problem in California is that the independent state commission...
They already did the math. Like, he had this planned up. They just pulled the trigger on it, right? They did the calculations. They could redistrict without violating one man, one vote. They could do it without violating any voting rights acts for racial gerrymandering, etc. They already figured all that stuff out, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Looking over all this, someone will sue, and then they will determine whether those voters are actually being fairly represented by the districts that are currently being drawn. So this is a big problem for Gavin Newsom. Let's be real about this. Gavin Newsom doesn't care about any of this. Gavin Newsom wants to run for president in 2028. That's the whole thing. He just wants to pose himself as the alternative to Donald Trump.
All right, let me summarize this video so far. So he explains in very simple terms what Gavin Newsom's going to do, legally abiding by the California's Constitution through a ballot measure. He says California's a bit weird, so it's just a bit weird. Like, no one else has an independent commission. Like, this is kind of weird, guys. And he says, but Gavin Newsom doesn't care about any of this. Like, he's about to break the law. Like he's gonna overthrow the government. Like he's going to violate 1 out of 3 court orders set against him. Like he's gonna, completely disregard immigration law. Like he's gonna order ICE into workplaces and arrest people based on the color of their skin and what language they speak. It's like they're gonna impound all of our government's funds and get ruled multiple times by your own accountability office that you've done so, violating the ICA, separation of powers. Like, you realize your own party is like, if anyone's gonna be talking about morally, legally, reprehensible things, it's like the Republican Party. You're staring right at it. You described 0 that is illegal. You said if he does something illegal, then it's gonna be illegal. It's like, no duh. If they do racial gerrymandering or violate equal protection, then yeah, dummy, it's gonna be an issue there.
He said in his big presser that Donald Trump is going to run for president in 2028 because if Donald Trump isn't going to run for president in 2028, then who is Gavin Newsom fighting? Who is the dragon he is slaying? This is just the latest attempt by Gavin Newsom to try and achieve some form of actual importance leading up to the 2028 election. He's tried this before. You'll recall that he said he's going to lead a resistance against ICE in California going and actually doing their job by enforcing the law with regard to illegal immigration. You'll recall that he suggested that President Trump was intervening somehow falsely or wrongly with regard to fire policy in the state of California. Only he, Gavin Newsom, could properly do.
No, I don't have a problem. Like, that federalization of the National Guard it wasn't wrong, it was just stupid. Like, he clearly did it for reasons that would have violated Posse Comitatus, but he didn't end up violating the law. He just put a bunch of National Guard troops out there for no reason. Like, he asked them to, like, abandon their post. That was Newsom's biggest issue with it. It's like they were doing actual helpful things, and then Trump told them to do something that's utterly useless, just for some, like, some imagery, some, like, fantasy.
Fire policy in the state of California. Is the continued divide between President Trump and the Federal Reserve putting us behind the curve again? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time, or are we going so, if you have a lot of faith in the future of the American dollar, well, okay, good for you. But if you want to diversify, because you're a little worried, you might want to text my friends over at Birch Gold Text Bet. More than literally anything else in life. It's why, again, he literally said that a joke, somebody sent him a Trump 2028 ad. That joke, he said, was actually a reflection of reality. Donald Trump is going to try a fascistic takeover of the entire country because Texas is going to redistrict kind of slightly. Texas is supposed to pick up somewhere between 3 and 5 seats in Congress. Now, again, the reason Texas is doing a lot of this stuff, the reason a lot of Republican states are looking at redistricting right now is because
Ben Shapiro will admit that January 6th was a fascistic takeover. He said it's the worst thing since 9/11. Like, you're gonna ignore that? It's like, what? Fascistic takeover is absolutely not in any way inaccurate when describing Donald Trump. This is not a fascistic takeover. It's a fascistic to command one of the states to do a mid-decade kind of unprecedented. Well, Texas, there's a little bit of precedent, but it's a bit different this time. Redistricting, like partisan redistricting, like when it should be, anyone would say it. So it should be the law of the land that partisan gerrymandering shouldn't really be a thing. But it's just so ironic.
2020 census was done wrongly and poorly. It actually over-allocated congressional seats to Democratic states. Not just...
I wouldn't say it was done wrongly. I would say it was done poorly because of COVID. You can't say because wrongly, like, kind of puts some intent in there. But there was no bad intent. They were restricted by COVID, right? They had to count deep in the pandemic. And it turns out this would have flipped, like in 2022 estimates, 1 or 2 seats. And they would have come from Florida or Texas or both, or 1 each. They would have come out of like Rhode Island or Michigan or whatever. So this is irrelevant, right? 1 or 2 seats changed in the whole House of Representatives. It's like, that's not a big deal. This is a way bigger deal. The gerrymandering will get you way more seats than whatever. Texas would have had 1 more maybe. Probably. Florida maybe 1 more. But you're changing 5 here, so don't tell me that you're just correcting for the census. Like, if you're just doing that and you framed it that way, then I would say, okay, that's probably fine, but...
Because, as President Trump has suggested, people count illegal immigrants in the actual census, and then they use that for purposes of allocating congressional representation, which is really controversial. Trump is trying to...
It's actually not controversial. No court has ever ruled in the way that Ben is saying here right now. The Constitution very clearly says all persons shall be counted. Donald Trump has tried to implement the citizenship question. Courts struck him down. Supreme Court struck him down. We know how to do this. It's all persons, felons, undocumented immigrants, people with TPS, people with parole, people on visa. It's everything, all persons that you can possibly count, right, in the area. So this is not controversial. It would then where do you draw the line? Do you only count people who can vote? Citizens? Do you count people with temporary status here?
Do the census. He's trying to fix that. He's trying to suggest that the census should only count naturalized persons, people who are citizens and members of their family. It shouldn't count people who are subject to the jurisdiction of another country.
People who are citizens and members of their family. What? What do you do with temporary statuses again? What do you do with permanent residency? This is absurd, by the way. This is completely stupid. Like, no court would ever even touch what Ben Shapiro is saying right now. It's so unconstitutional. And then he's going on about how Gavin Newsom is apparently unconstitutional when he described perfectly how perfectly legal it was for him to do what he's doing right now, and how Texas had a plan to stop it. They could have stopped it if they want.
Immigrants. But even you put that aside, they just did the count wrong. You see, census officers, they go out, they canvass the neighborhood. Were you interviewed by a person from the census in 2020? I was not. I was counted, presumably, as a citizen of California at that time, and then moved over to Florida. But nobody really talked to me. So it's not that they get every single person, they sort of do a sampling, and then they use that sample and extrapolate from it to come up with what they think are the population numbers in every particular district and in every particular state. The problem is they actually did it wrong. So if you go back to 2021, it was openly acknowledged by the Commerce Department that if they had properly counted everybody in the various states, then electoral votes would have gone away from California. Acknowledged by the Commerce Department that if they had properly counted everybody in the various states, then electoral votes would have gone away from California, would have gone away from New York, would have gone away from Illinois, and would have gone to Arizona, Texas, Florida. Right? That's where those votes would have moved. And so what you're seeing right now is a correct.
Yes, he's using very flimsy language there. Very few. It would have made it was like a 2 to 5% miscount, which is large for the census, but considering the circumstances, it's not horrible. It would have gotten 1 or 2 seats for Republicans. Like, okay, if you limit your gerrymandering to 1 or 2 seats, then and frame it in a very bipartisan, I'm sure Newsom would have zero problem with it.
Attempt with regard to congressional seating and representation. Now, let's be real about this. Is it political by Republicans to try and do? Of course. But redistricting is always political. There's a reason that the state of Massachusetts has 9 Democratic seats out of 9 congressional seats. There are not 0 Republicans in the state of Massachusetts. And yes, a Republican governor signed that into law, but that doesn't change the fact that the congressional map is not representative of the general population of the state. In fact, there are very few states where the representative population, politically,
I'm just going to gloss over that. I mean, it's kind of funny. The Republican did sign that into law, but I'm not going to try to explain that.
Actually, even with the congressional representation, that's actually quite rare. Now, there might be better and worse ways of doing all of this, but the attempt by Newsom to claim, number 1, the country is at stake if Texas redistricts, 2, that he has the unilateral power to do this, 3, that the citizens of California are going to go along with it, and 4, that it really is just about justice and not about him grandstanding politically, that is really silly. And again, Gavin Newsom is now operating in the realm of the silly. If you check his tweets lately, it's all capital letter tweets, multiple exclamation points. The goal of Gavin Newsom...
Yeah, who is he copying there? He's actually doing better politics, right? People don't hate him as much. And yeah, all those 4 points were complete BS. They described nothing. Gavin Newsom never said he had the unilateral authority to do this. This is why he's going through the constitutional process. Like, all of this is wrong. It's like not even close.
President Trump. And this, I think, may be the unique ability of President Trump politically. No matter what he does, he can get Democrats to take the other side. So if he does something with redistricting, Democrats will take the other side. If he says crime is bad, they will decide that actually crime is good, and you can't call the National Guard out to help with crime in Washington, D.C. If he says illegal immigration is bad, and he's going to activate ICE, Gavin Newsom will yell at him. Alex Padilla, the senator from California, will basically threaten to fight him, and will actually get up in the face of Kristi Noem of the Department of Homeland Security. So yeah, the Democratic Party is in the middle of a grandstand.
Great explanations. Like, I don't think Ben Shapiro has ever covered any ICE stuff. Like, does he know that Trump's DOJ is literally telling these judges to deny preemptively, administratively close asylum cases before they can come to their conclusion, before they can be an actual ruling, and then once they close them, the ICE agents are waiting outside the courts. So these are asylum seekers. These are innocent people. Innocent people have their asylum cases stolen from them by a DOJ that would fire the judges if they don't go along with it, and they have. The Bay Area judges are gone. Like, judges are being fired in record paces. Asylum denial rates are through the floor. Not even counting the administrative closers, twice as many asylum cases are being decided every single month. It's like he's just blowing through these cases, denying, right, with giving no thought. Does he cover any of that? Does he cover the Southern California judge who said there's mountains of evidence that these ICE raids are being conducted based on colors of skin and language? Like, how else are you going to arrest people? Like, unless you have... That's why ICE workplace raids are inherently unconstitutional. Unless you have some preconceived, like, intelligence that can give you probable cause to arrest someone or reasonable suspicion, right? But many of these raids don't. And to meet these arrest quotas, it's almost for sure that ICE is just going in there, arresting people based on how they look. Tom Homan said it on Fox News. It's like, this is not about fighting illegal immigration. Which is not a real fight, by the way. It's kind of stupid, but it's just so. This video is just horrible. I'm out of words, but we'll see how he ends it.
Moment, Gavin Newsom has a lot of grandstanders to compete with, people who are performatively angry, who are yelling at. He's got.
Oh yeah, he got about the political part. No, this is all political. He's like, oh, but that's fine, but it's also not fine. It's like, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to not be political? The only party that's political is the Republican Party. You would elect that party that you admit tried to overthrow the government, right? Did the worst things in American public life since 9/11. You admit that you'd vote for them. It's like, like you obviously care about like political. You give so much political leeway to the Republicans. And once Democrats do anything outside of the status quo for Democrats, which is dramatically different than the status quo for Republicans, you just make this stupid video of you walking around your office, getting everything wrong, describing nothing legally or morally questionable about what Gavin Newsom's doing.
Booker from New Jersey yelling into the wind about things. He's got Hakeem Jeffries yelling into the wind about things. He's got J.B. Pritzker yelling into the wind about things. Gavin Newsom has to yell the loudest. It is the thing that matters most to him in life. So, will he be able to redistrict? Maybe. I mean, people in California have voted for some pretty dumb things on the ballot in the past. Will that be upheld by a court?
That's a pretty smart thing, actually, to get yourself more representation. Political gerrymandering, like it'll give Democrats in California more power. So why wouldn't they vote for it? I wouldn't say that's dumb. I'd say that's pretty smart. But I think Ben Shapiro is dumb. I actually don't think he's dumb. I don't know what I think about Ben. I used to think he believed what he said. I don't know at this point. I think most Republicans like engineer their ideology and do like mental gymnastics in order to justify tax cuts. I think Ben Shapiro does the mental gymnastics in order to justify unconditional support for Israel. I think that's his version of tax cuts, right? So he has to just do anything to justify Republican politics because he knows the Democrats are taking the stance of human rights here, and he doesn't want that. Not to get into that topic.